Hello everyone, today I'll be reviewing Point Blank. So Point Blank came out in 1967 and was directed by John Boorman, and this film is a thriller. So this film kicks off with Lee Marvin's character, known as Walker. He takes part in this crime operation on Alcatraz Island, and he is betrayed or double-crossed by his best friend. And his best friend then runs off with lots of money and leaves Walker for dead in a prison cell. So Walker ends up escaping from Alcatraz, and he wants to get the money back that was stolen, and he basically sets out on a mission to find his friend, who's called Reese, and track him down and get the money back. The film is actually a bit more complicated than that because it turns out that there's a few other people involved as well. Walker then meets up with all these other people trying to sort things out, trying to find out where his money is. So this was the first time I'd seen this film. I wasn't really familiar with it. I'd heard of it. I knew Lee Marvin was in it, but that was about it. And it was directed by John Boorman, who also directed Deliverance, which I think is a fantastic film. So I was quite looking forward to this, and I have to say that this is a great thriller. It's quite an exciting film. There's lots of intense and interesting scenes in it, but it's a very unusual thriller. It's a thriller like no other I've really seen. So it came out in 1967, and it has a real French New Wave feel to it, a real 1960s feel to it. And the way this film looks is really great. It's very colourful. We get lots of bright colours throughout this film, and it's very different to a lot of those earlier film noir types, like from the 1940s, which were in black and white, obviously. This definitely feels like a different kind of film, and in general, with the way that it's edited and shot and put together, it all seems very different to what you would expect going into this film. At least that's the way I felt anyway. I have to admit that during the first 10 to 15 minutes of this film, I was quite confused about what was going on exactly, and that's because we get quite a lot of flashback sequences. We get some scenes where Walker is being shot and left for dead in a prison cell. Then we have another scene where when Reese is saying to Walker, we're going to make lots of money with this plan, and they're sort of in a crowd of lots of people, and then all of a sudden Walker's escaped from the prison and he's in this house, and then a woman appears and then she disappears later on, and it's really confusing what was going on. And it's because the film has this non-linear structure to it, at least towards the start anyway, and we do get quite a few scenes of flashbacks throughout the film, and Walker is, say he's doing something, is trying to find someone, or he's about to shoot someone or something, and then it reminds him of something else which has happened. Or if he's having a conversation with someone, it suddenly flashes back to something which had happened before, and he's reminding himself of what happened before, and what he's doing now reminds him of a past memory. And if I'm honest, I think it worked quite well in some scenes, but I did find it quite confusing, particularly towards the start when I was trying to get to know these characters. However, I have to admit, after the first 10 to 15 minutes, really, the plot of the film is actually really simple to follow. It's a really straightforward story. Lee Marvin's character Walker is essentially looking for his money. He's finding his people who can help him with his money. And we do get some great scenes. There's one particular scene actually when a character is trying to set Walker up and set him to be shot, and Walker realises this, and he manages to work his way around it, which is really clever. So Lee Marvin is really good at playing these tough guy sort of characters, these sort of strong guys who end up beating people up. However, I do have to say his character doesn't really have much of a personality. We hardly ever see him smile in this film. He really is just trying to get his money back, doing whatever he can. But that is supposed to be the sort of character he is. I must also mention Angie Dickinson is in this film. She plays Walker's sister-in-law, Chris, and she helps Walker in quite a few scenes throughout this film, and is actually really very useful to him in terms of tracking down the character of Reese. We get some really excellent scenes with her in as well. I must also mention we have the actor Carol O'Connor. He plays a character called Brewster in this film. Carol O'Connor best being known for playing Archie Bunker in the 70s sitcom All in a Family. And yeah, he's fairly good in this film, but if I'm honest, he has quite a small role. He only really appears towards the end. And yeah, there's quite a few characters that tend to appear and then suddenly disappear in this film. Although obviously I won't spoil it too much for you. I think this is one of those films that really everyone is going to have a different view of. I think a lot of people are going to watch this film and get slightly confused about what is going on and are going to sort of overanalyze it. And this is the type of film that you can really dive into and you can overanalyze all sorts of it. But then again, it's a sort of film that a lot of people will watch and be able to have a good time with and just follow the plot and just root for Lee Marvin's character and want him to get his money back. And if I'm honest, I was sort of 50-50 because towards the start it was confusing, but then as the film went on, it became quite a simple film to follow. So overall, I do think Point Blank is a good film. I think as a thriller, it works very well and it does what you expect in a lot of ways. But because of the way it's directed, the way it's shot, the way it's edited, it has a real different feel to it than a lot of other thrillers from this time, and that's something that a lot of people will appreciate, but at the same time a lot of people may be put off by, and a lot of people do want a more simple story structure and a more traditional thriller. Yeah, this one is not the most traditional film, it is something different. Yeah, I recommend that you check this out if you want a different kind of thriller, a thriller with a bit of a twist to it. So overall, I'm going to give Point Blank a rating of 7 out of 10. I would give it a high rating if I could understand what was going on towards the story a bit more, and perhaps if I could really feel some of the characters a bit more interesting, because the characters in this film, they do tend to come across as quite cold and not the most interesting, but then again, this is the type of film it's supposed to be. So there we go, so that is my review of Point Blank. So what do you guys think? Have you seen Point Blank? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Please let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section below. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.